Hi guys, it's Jean Ann here, and today I'm going to be talking about how to use cream eyeliner, and specifically I'm going to talk about how to get it to stay on your eye, because cream eyeliners, at least on my eyes, tend to migrate to parts unknown. And part of why they do that is if it's not waterproof, it just sort of doesn't have the staying power. I mean, it's like a cream eyeshadow. It could be, you know, anywhere from here to here. Within maybe moments of putting it on. So the way that I like to do it is I like to apply it and then set it with another, with an eyeshadow, just to kind of seal the deal. There are sealants that you can buy. You can also use a, I've taken my eyeshadow base and over my eyeshadow put a strip of base, let that dry, and then put on a cream eyeshadow. A cream eyeliner. Unfortunately, though, that can also mess up the eyeshadow around it. So I prefer this method, the set it and forget it, of using a cream eyeliner and then setting it with a powdered eyeshadow. So you can see that I've done it on one side already. I am using the Lorac Sweet Temptations eyeshadow and lip set. It came out around Christmas time. I'll show you what it looks like here. Essentially, it looks like a bunch of candy bars, which that can never be a bad thing. It was on sale on Outlook, and so I picked that up, and I picked up also a set of lip glosses. So let's get started. Why am I waiting so long? Hello. So for this look, I'm going to be using the Mesmerizing Dark Chocolate Cream Eyeliner palette. The only thing that concerns me about this is that it's a magnet close kind of a deal. And inside there are 4 eyeliners, and they're cream. So I'm not entirely sure how long that's going to last me, because it seems to me like it would dry out pretty easily. I don't know. I'm also using the Blackberry Truffle Seduction palette that comes in this kit, and that's what I'm going to use to both set my eyeliner, and also that's what I've used for the actual eyeshadow. And just a quick note, if you're going to do a strong eyeliner, which you can see that I have, you might want to kind of balance it out by doing slightly less on the eye. The eye is still smoky, but very, very blended and diffuse. It's not like a blah. In this situation, you're really featuring the eyeliner as the, hey, look at me part of your eye makeup. You know what I'm saying? I think you do. Let's get started. So I'm going to be using the brown. I, for some reason, thought this was a brown purple, but when I swatch it on my hand, there may be a little bit of purple in it. But it looks really brown to me, so that's okay. Brown actually works really well with the eyeshadows in this particular palette. I'm going to use my crown brush, one of my new crown brushes. This is a great brush, and I love it because it is slightly angled, but really also very chiseled, and so you can get right in at the lash line to put on your eyeliner, and that is super important for me because I do not tightline my eyes very often because it's highly irritating and it doesn't last. So this lets me get right in at the roots. So anyway, I've loaded it up with some brown, and I'm going to just start at the outer corner, and I'm going to both push and sweep. Now the thing, I just made a little bit of a wing right there, and I'm coming back in. The thing about using cream eyeliner, for me, is that I've found that I need to load my brush a little more often than I would with a gel liner or a liquid liner, because the color tends to move with the brush. In other words, you can sweep it across the eye, and then the next thing you know, you've got a long streak with some parts of the makeup containing eyeliner and other parts being bare. So I kind of counteract that by loading my brush relatively frequently. So I am going to take this all the way over into the corner. And I'm using more of a patting motion than a traditional sweep it on your eyelid eyeliner motion. Now that's a pretty well-defined eye. I actually love the way that this goes. I love the way that this goes on, but it really needs some support because it's so smooth and creamy. It just floats very easily on my eye. I will say this, that with cream eyeliner, I found that it stays wet longer. I mean, eventually it will set to some form of dry, not dry enough for me because I have hooded eyes which lay on top of my eyeliner, and that explains partially why my eyeliner moves all over. But because it stays moist or workable for a while, you can go in and add or fix or, you know, whatever, doodle around with it for a while, and it's not going to affect the final outlook in a negative manner. You know, you're not going to get all kinds of crazy happening, you know? So I just want to go back in and make sure that right at the base of my lashes, I'm just touching it, wiggling it a bit. There we go. All right, all lined up. All right, so that is the cream portion of the eyeliner. We're going to go into the Blackberry Seduction, Blackberry Truffle Seduction. And I am going to use a different brush so that I don't get it, since this has cream on it, I don't want to set it on the brush and get gloppy stuff. So I'm going to use a separate one, this is a more angled brush. I think it's Eco Tools. Anyway, I'm going to be using this purple right here. And it's a beautiful, beautiful color. It does have some fall down, so keep that in mind. Actually, it has a lot when you aren't careful. Anyway, that's the purple color. You can see how those colors are, they are not the same color, obviously, but they look beautiful together. So I'm going to take this and put it over, patting, I should mention. I'm going to pat this over the cream. Now obviously I've done a very thick line. You don't have to do a line this thick, but as I said before, this is the feature of my eye look. So I do want it to be dramatic. I don't think you can tell on camera, but that essentially what that does is give it a very deep aubergine brown combo. Alright, so now that that's done, I'm going to finish up with a couple of mascaras. The first one I'm going to use is Neutrogena Healthy Volume. And this is not my favorite mascara. I'm not exactly sure why I decided to pull this out and use it today, but that's what we're going with. We're going with that, topped with my Standby Great Big Lashes mascara by Paula. I'm not even going to try to say her last name. I am going to try. Bagoon. Somebody help me with that, please. Okay, so now that is finished, and one more thing that I wanted to mention before we finish up this video, as you can see that I put a lighter color right here next to the lid. I did this in a recent video too. I think it was the Winter Queen video. The color that I used for that, I'll show you, is this peachy color here. It's very, very pale. It has a little sparkle to it. In fact, all these have a little sparkle. They're more metallic than actually like glitter. So I feel okay still wearing them without it getting a little, you know, a little disco. Not that that's always bad. Anyway, putting that color closest to my eyelashes helps differentiate the eyeliner from the eyeshadow, and I find that really helpful and important, and I don't do it all the time, and when I don't do it, I'm like, why didn't I do that? Because oftentimes it starts to look a little muddy in here. If I don't have enough contrast, either of light and dark or colors, my lid starts to look like somebody just took some brown and stamped it all over it. It starts to just mud up. And so anyway, I like the definition that I get, and I like that little bit of light right there. And if you get done completely with this look and your eyeshadow or your eyeliner has set, you can always go back in with a little brush and take a little bit of white even would be good. There's a white that comes in this set that would also be good, and you could just run that right along there. Also, I forgot to mention, and I keep picking up different palettes, I forgot to mention that I took a little bit of this brown, which is a beautiful metallic shade, and I just put about the outer third of my eyes. And I just did that to kind of blend the look a little bit so that it wasn't so stark in contrast. The truth is though, I would probably wear it without anything under the eyes. I'm just like that. I've also chosen to wear a nude colored lip that's more in the peachy toffee color, rather than go with pink, which would be great with purple. And I often wear pink with purple undertones, or plum, really is plum. But I felt like it would be fun to do something different and kind of contrast versus go right along with. So anyway, that's my finished look. I hope you like it. If you have any questions or any tips about how to work with cream eyeliner, leave them in the comments, yo. Also, subscribe and like. Bye-bye.